Hey, everybody. Fascinating chat today on the future of AI and enterprise efficiency with a true innovator in the field from SS&C Blue Prism. Colin, how are you?
I'm very well, Evan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining. I've really been intrigued by you and your professional journey at SS&C Blue Prism over the years. Thanks for joining. Maybe introduce yourself, your role at the company, and a little bit about what you're up to these days.
Yeah, sure. I'm Colin Redbond. I am Chief Products Officer at SS&C Blue Prism, as you've said. My journey has come from a long career at IBM. I'm a corrupted enterprise architect. Got into the software business with Blue Prism when we were bringing the software actually into IBM 8 years or so ago. And since then, I've gone through a number of different roles here. Setting up our AI practice, setting up our partner programs, and then getting into the product management and product strategy space. Pretty varied journey. And as you can imagine, we've gone through a lot of change. We got acquired a couple of years ago by SS&C. So yeah, lots of change and lots of exciting things going on. Looking forward to talking to you.
Indeed. Yeah, likewise. Let's dive in. What are the specific challenges you guys are solving these days? What's your focus?
Well, it's always been about solving automation problems.
Mm,
But I think what's interesting is the way that things have changed in terms of the different sort of problems that customers are trying to solve with automation, and it's gone very much from people trying to basically take cost out of the business. That was where we started. That was what everyone really kind of bought the software for. And as things have progressed, and particularly with some of the advent of the new AI technologies and generative AI, we're now seeing people looking to solve much more varied problems and looking at kind of customer journeys, employee and customer experience, and real sort of varied sort of perspective on how you can use automation to improve a business and to make people's lives easier, essentially.
well, that would be nice. I'm all for that. And you work across many industries, but you're particularly focused on highly regulated industries like healthcare and financial services, banking. How do you see AI advancing in those verticals today? And how are they, how's automation reshaping how these
Mm.
industries work?
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, in healthcare and financial services and other regulated industries, there's a huge appetite and a huge potential for automation and using AI, but a lot more reticence and a lot more governance and rules and regulations that people are concerned about in terms of how they're actually going about implementing it. And that's been true throughout my journey at SS&C Blue Prism, even from the more rules-based technologies and automation capabilities that we provided. We always kind of had to wrap an operating model and governance and guidelines around those things. I think what we're seeing with things like large language models and generative AI, though, is that there's a whole new wave of capabilities, regulation, guardrails, and a completely new thought process around how those organizations are thinking about implementing these technologies. So I would say a lot of experimentation, a lot of thought, a lot of sort of consideration around what the rules and regulations need to be at both a company-wide and government-wide level, and a lot of thought on our side on how we can meet customers where they are on those kind of journeys, and how we can support with more technology that we wrap around our software stack.
Oh, well said. So we in our industry, as you know, we love four-letter acronyms, and Gartner recently introduced the term BOAT. It's a
Hmm.
good one, Business Orchestration and Automation Technologies. So reflection of a shift towards these unified architectures that you're a proponent of. Well, so what does BOAT mean for businesses, and how does it align with your strategy, and how does it help your customers?
Yeah, I mean, those are if you remember, Gartner coined the term hyper automation a
Hmm.
number of years ago. I think BOAT is really an evolution of that. It actually involves a lot of the same technologies. So it's bringing together things like intelligent document processing and robotic process automation, business process management, low-code application development, all those kind of things, all of which were sort of referenced in the hyper-automation definition that Gartner had. But what we're starting to see now is much more of a demand for a unified set of those capabilities and all, effectively connecting them together to deliver more transformational value through the sum of the parts. And that means a much more integrated system. It means a much more integrated user experience. One of the things I'm very passionate about is it's not just about connecting technologies, it's about connecting people, and it's about connecting the people who are actually involved in using those technologies. So I think the big shift for me is about the platform side of things and how those technologies have come together. And it's about the user experience. And obviously, again, I'm sure we're going to keep talking about Gen AI or referencing it because it's the sort of buzzword or capability everyone wants to talk about. But I think the thing that I talk about when I reference Gen AI is what it's really disrupting is user experience. It's now possible for you to create configuration and to do things for a business user or a non-technical user to do things that weren't possible 3 years ago, and that applies across those other technologies as well. And it's also how we're thinking about bringing things together across our portfolio, which in itself is has evolved through lots of different iterations of development and acquisition and all those kind of things. So I think the opportunity really is around that more unified user experience and the way that we bring those technologies together.
Oh, fantastic approach. Um, so IDC, on another note, is talks increasingly about AI-powered automation, highlighting the convergence of AI and business processes. So how do you guys, take those concepts and turn them into, real-world solutions?
I mean, we work very closely with our customers is the
Mm,
short answer. But what's changing is the way that customers are looking to adopt technology and to solve those problems. And I think more maturity in the way that they think about that and the way that they organize around the implementation of technology. And I'm sure you've probably seen the same with some of the other companies that you talk to. I think there's now recognition that you need to have a really strong strategy around how you're adopting technology and how you're adopting artificial intelligence. I think what we're starting to see now is with our customers is they're looking at how they can bring those things together as again, back to the sort of BOAT acronym, how they can use these different technologies together to solve larger, more complex problems. So to give a couple of examples, I mean, in 4 years ago, in the insurance space, for example, we would have been limited to, a fairly well-defined set of capabilities or problems that we could solve with automation. With large language models and with the kind of conversational interfaces that people are starting to get used to using now, all of a sudden you can transform an entire user journey or customer journey for an insurance claim. So when you actually submit an insurance claim now, there's a strong chance that the first interaction that you're going to have is with an AI-based conversational interface. And
mm.
I used one of these things recently on I had to submit a ticket to address a problem I was having with a delivery, and I knew it was an AI intelligence because the signs and the things to ask to kind of get it to break cover. But the way that it was able to actually interact with me was just on another level compared to what it was 3 years ago. So I think the problems that we're able to address now with automation combined with artificial intelligence is just going to another level, and I guess consistent with what we're seeing in other parts of industry around the adoption of AI.
Yeah, well said. Interesting shift. There's also a shift away from this idea we had a long time for best in breed solutions and kind of piecing those together into more unified solutions from, maybe one vendor instead of a dozen. How do you see the benefits of that approach or that shift in
Mm.
thinking to, customers and any, real world scenarios that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've always been strong at, as Blue Prism, and then when we got acquired by SS&C, and we combined the Blue Prism RPA technology with another product called Chorus, which is focused on process orchestration. We've always had strengths on integration and orchestrating different technologies, and actually one of the things that made robotic process automation attractive to businesses was the fact that it was able to integrate with systems that previously it would have been very difficult to integrate with. So the way I look at it is, I mean, we are, in the grand scheme of things, one vendor in a multitude of many different vendors or software ecosystems that a customer is likely to have already invested in. And we're never going to go into a customer and try and oust one of the mega vendors, as I call it, that are
Hmm.
already likely to be incumbent in that organization. So what we try and do is a couple of things. One, we try and make it really easy for customers to integrate with those systems. And we do that through robotic process automation, but we do also increasingly and more commonly do it through APIs, because that's, most systems now have APIs. And we make it really easy to orchestrate those technologies. So, business process management is not a very sexy term anymore, but it's kind of, that methodology and that sort of process structure, that structured approach to how you transform business processes is kind of coming back into vogue, because people are recognizing that you need that connective, you need that kind of overarching orchestration system and process layer to be able to cope with these different technologies and ecosystems that you have in an environment. So yeah, I would say two things really: integration and orchestration.
Yeah, well said. Seems so simple, doesn't it? If it were only that the case.
It
But
does.
2025 is going to be a huge year for Gen AI advancement. We're going to see, as I think you'd agree, a shift from, delivering answers and just solving problems to actually being tasked with finding solutions, sort of agentic type approaches. How do you see these advancements affecting your customers' thinking and, adoption of AI driven automation?
Mm. I mean, you mentioned one of my favorite words in that question, which is solutions. I think we're always kind of looking for how we can apply technology to solve problems and deliver solutions. And I think the agentic shift is kind of allowing us to think about that in a much broader and a much more complex sort of world. So I think 2025 for us is kind of really going to be about how we bring those different technologies and capabilities that we already have in the automation space together with this very, very fast paced and ever changing world of agentic AI and generative AI, and apply that to solutions and solving problems for our customers. And I think it's easy to just um, throw technology at problems, but you probably remember the first wave of AI hype. When I first joined Blue Prism, before we got acquired 8 years ago, we used to joke that our CTO had a briefcase with the AI in it. It was the first question anybody asked us was, "What AI have you got in your product?" And my first question would always be, "Well, what problem are you trying to solve?" And I think we're in a similar sort of situation now with some of these with the new wave of AI, where people are looking to throw it at problems without really potentially having all the thought around where and when is it appropriate, aligned with some of the more traditional technologies, because sometimes rules-based approaches are actually the right answer for automation, particularly again in regulated industries. So I think it's that combination, and we want to get really strong at how we bring that together, particularly in the user experience, as we talked about.
Fantastic. Well, speaking of language models, you could fit in a briefcase. All the excitements around large language models and the industry buzz and the Wall Street Journal headlines and so forth. But small language models are really gaining traction for efficiency and cost effectiveness
Yeah.
in terms of processing. How do you see those affecting your vision and your products in terms of automation strategies?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think, back to the sort of regulated industries perspective that we have, the more that we can contain that intelligence and contain the data within a customer's environment or within their control, the more likely they are to be able to adopt our products. So right now, with large language models, and most of the capabilities that people are aware of, or certainly the big publicly available ones, we're still sending data to an API, or at best an amorphous blob of compute power that is not within the customer's control, and a lot of customers are very anxious about that. So I think with the containment of the data, and with the sort of shift towards maybe more self-contained, more specific problem-solving models, I think we'll be able to kind of apply that in a way that is much more attractive to some of our regulated customers, because the data it's so important to them that we can tell them how it's being used, where it's being used, who has control of it. And you're a CIO in a bank, and you're audited, then you need to be able to answer that question. So I think we're going to definitely see a shift towards something that is perhaps a little bit more specific to industries, and to particular business problems. And actually, the other thing that we're seeing is customers wanting to use their own data to optimize and tune those language models, because there's a plateau, as you probably know, of the advancements in being able to solve problems that are maybe a bit more specific to a particular industry, because you need the data to be able to train the model.
Yeah, well said. And there's no crystal balls here, but where do you see the future of automation headed over the next couple of years? What are the unique possibilities you're looking to potentially unlock that we haven't been able to unlock in the past with automation and AI?
I mean, I think one of the things that is in its infancy at the moment is this concept of large action models,
Mm.
and combining a language model with an action model. And if you look at some of the things that have come out around Anthropic, for example, recently, it's when we look at it, it's actually there's all this kind of hype around it's gonna kill RPA and all these kind of things. But when we experiment with those capabilities, what we're really looking at is a fairly rudimentary computer vision model with a large language model that's sat in front of it. What it doesn't do is it doesn't consider all of the things that we've spent many years wrapping around robotic process automation to make sure that when you build an automation, it's robust, it can handle exceptions, it can handle
Mm.
performance issues, all those kind of things. So I think what the opportunity for us is to take some of that knowledge and that experience that we have, and think about how we kind of combine those capabilities together, to really sort of make those things incredibly easy to use. Because even though our systems are all no code,
Mm.
but you need to have a certain degree of experience and knowledge to be able to build something that's kind of stands the test of time. So I think that I see some of the things that are coming out right now as they're quite toy-like, really. I can order a pizza, order me a pizza, and it will show you the process of ordering a pizza. But imagine if that is I want to run my end of year financial reconciliation, or something really sort of heavy like that. Thinking through how we could start to industrialize some of those capabilities is really quite exciting. But I think we're a way off, particularly when it comes to those action models. But yeah, that's one that I think is particularly interesting.
Indeed. And let's not underestimate the amount of tech that goes into ordering pizzas. So, on a separate note,
Yeah.
just kidding. But of course, Domino's is one of the biggest users of advanced tech in the US, from IoT to AI, from
Oh,
mapping.
really?
And
I
it's
didn't know that.
so who would have imagined every industry is affected here? What about you? What's next for you personally, professionally? in the next few months? What are you looking forward to beyond some rest and relaxation over the holiday?
Yeah, Christmas. Definitely looking forward to that. I think, from my perspective, we've invested quite a lot over the last 2 or 3 years in some fundamentals in terms of the platform that we have, the technologies that we've brought together, and also a great team that I've got around me. So I think since the acquisition, as with most acquisitions, it takes a while for people to really find their rhythm in the new
Mm.
organization. I think we've now found that. So I'm looking forward to kind of capitalizing on some of the investments that we've made, the team that I've now got. And we've got a really exciting vision and strategy. So I think for me, it's always about execution on that strategy, and listening to our customers, and thinking about how we use tech to solve bigger problems.
A wonderful insight there, and congratulations on all the success and onwards and upwards in 2025. Thanks so much, Colin.
Thanks, Evan.
And thanks so much, everyone, for listening and watching. As always, share